What the heck? Was that an earthquake?
His master is very forward-thinking. Allow me to introduce you to one of his most faithful servants, Gigantomachia.
Everything is for the glory of my master.
Hello everybody, Megazord here. I'm back at it again to give you another very exciting episode review over My Hero Academia, and this week I'm going to be going over episode 78, Smoldering Flames. If you haven't already watched my episode 77 review over My Hero Academia, you can go ahead and click that card in the corner, check that video out, and then come back and watch this one though. And man, I have got to say, based upon the events that happened within the previous episode, oh gosh, I definitely need a whole entire shakeup, like a really lighthearted arc. After all the seriousness and, you know, after Sir Night-Eye's passing, that honestly kind of shook me up a little bit though. I'm really excited for the change of pace of things. However, for this episode that you would think to sort of kind of lighten things up at least a little bit, man, I'm kind of shocked because they came out the gate swinging with that first little scene. I'll break down here in just a second though. And then they did not let up at all within this episode. It was sort of kind of like a reflection back on like all the previous stuff that happened within the last arc, as well as, you know, just sort of kind of like, this is basically a really good bridge episode from, you know, from transition from all the stuff that happened within the previous arc to the arc that we're just about to go up into, which should be a little bit more of a lighthearted arc though. But man, this episode, oh gosh, I definitely wasn't expecting some of these moments within this episode though. But overall, it feels good to be able to be back and reviewing this series once again. We did go on a 1 week delay due to the fact that there was some delay in materials from Japan's side, so that's why we didn't get an English dub last week, which is why I didn't review this episode 78 last week though. But yeah, that explains for that though. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight up into this episode review of My Hero Academia. So at the very beginning of the episode, oh gosh, alright, so we get to see Gran Torino riding in the car with some other dude, and basically they were hunting for the dude called Kurogiri, which, you know, Kurogiri, you know, most of us in our heads think back whenever he made that first debut back in season 1. He's basically like the League of Villains, like teleporter, like their main transport dude, and he's able to get, you know, a person from point A to point B within a blink of an eye with his quirk though. So they knew that, hey, he's some really good glue that kind of keeps all the operations kind of flowing with the League of Villains. So they knew if they were able to target that dude and be able to capture him and put him behind bars and put him behind questioning and whatever though, and remove him from their team, then hey, that would be a major leg up in order to basically stop the League of Villains right where they're at though. But even when you feel confident in saying, you know what, hey, we got Gran Torino on our side, man, we should be able to get this dude, especially when we managed to catch this dude off guard. Man, with the League of Villains and the crazy stuff that All For One set up for Shigaraki and his crew, man, you can't, man, you got to be prepared for any kind of scenario though, because Kurogiri was there in this sort of kind of like a mountainous area, forested kind of area. He was there for some business with some man, because All For One recommended that if he had to be locked away for some period of time, he would be the only one that could protect Tomura. And oh my goodness, and I was not expecting this though, but his name was Gigantomachia, and I was like, what the heck, this dude was like a megaton giant, and I was like, oh shoot. And then Gran Torino was shocked, and he was like, whoa, what the, because at first they had this dude pinned down, like Gran Torino zoomed in, and he managed to land right on top of Kurogiri and said, don't move, we got you pinned down, you ain't going nowhere though. But then this dude, this Megaton giant shows up out of nowhere, and they looking at this dude like, excuse me? Like what the heck? And Corey Gear's like, you know what, you might got me pinned down or whatever though, but this is the dude that you should be really worried about, along with Shigaraki, because this dude was a direct servant underneath All For One. And without any further ado, he slammed the punch down, and it sent like a ripple effect through all the trees and stuff in the area though. And that's all we got to see with that. And I was like, oh shoot, I hope Gran Torino's alright, because that mess looked like, oh my gosh, it looked like he did some mass destruction though. But that is it in terms of that scene, until we get later on in the episode where we get to see, you know, what actually happened after that moment though. But we get to transition over, and we get to see nearly everybody at the hospital make a full recovery, thanks to, you know, the hospital staff that were there, along with Recovery Girl going through and, you know, basically using her quirk to recover everybody though. However, Izuku wanted to also check on Togeda, so he told, you know, Mr. Aizawa, hey, I'm gonna leave my badge right here, I'll be right back, don't go anywhere. And then whenever he walked in and saw Togeda in his room, for some oddball reason, Togeda was doing some bicycle exercises and was feeling somewhat pumped. And even though he just lost his permeation quirk and his mentor just died, you think he would be more so in the slumps, but he was actually staying a lot more positive, thanks to Sir Night-Eye always being positive. Now, you know what, Sir Night-Eye, you know, he always kind of seems sort of cold to us as the viewers watching this anime, or, you know, the manga readers reading the manga or whatever though. However, despite all of this, Togeda actually got to see the other side of Sir Night-Eye, and he always admired, you know, jokes, or always smiling and having that positive attitude. Some things that really kind of rubbed off of All Might onto Sir Night-Eye, and that was something that Togeda was always, or was sort of kind of feeling, he wanted to hold that kind of close to his heart. Even though his mentor is gone, that's his one thing that he still wants to be associated with. So that was really interesting and nice to kind of see, you know, that's the one thing that he probably took away from Sir Night-Eye. As a matter of fact, that, you know what, no matter how bad the situation may be, I'm gonna try to keep my head held high and try to keep a smile on my face, because you know what, once Eri, you know, finally manages to recover, she doesn't want to come out of there and see me in a gloomy, sad state. No, she wants to kind of see a smile or whatever though, because she's been through a lot, just like I had been through a lot. And you know what, there was even a moment, based upon all the stuff that they were just talking about, Izuku started to reflect back on some words that Sir Night-Eye said. He said, you know what, All Might made the wrong choice at giving his quirk to you. It should have been to Togeda. It manages to kind of, you know, bog down his spirits enough to the point where he actually said, you know what, if you had my quirk instead of me, would you accept my quirk? Because you know what, if you were the one that received the quirk instead of me, maybe things would have turned out different. Maybe you wouldn't have lost your quirk. Maybe Sir Night-Eye would still been able to still be living right now, and maybe that terrible incident that happened to All Might wouldn't have happened, because maybe you would have been stronger during that one moment whenever he needed some backup help or whatever though. And Mirio actually just flat out turned him down and said, no, even if it were possible for you to just be able to hand you my hand your quirk to me, I don't want it, because it'll put you in more so a predicament or whatever though. And he's like, you know what, I can do this by myself. And he's like, I'm not gonna have you be bogged down by that just because of the unfortunate events that sort of kind of happened within this whole entire arc though. No, don't beat yourself up, man, like that. You know what, you just keep your head held high and things should work out though. And Mirio also even talked to Mr. Aizawa, and he explained that as Eri manages to get older, as she, you know, starts to work on her quirk and learn how to master it, it may be possible for her to fully master her quirk, to where at one point in the future, maybe Togeda can actually walk up to Eri and say, you know what, use your quirk on me to rewind myself back to the point where I still had my quirk. And you know what, thinking about that like that, I was like, oh shoot, it would be possible for Togeda to be able to get his quirk back. Because, you know, in Sir Night-Eye's dying moments, Sir Night-Eye still said, you know what, Togeda, you're gonna be alright, and you're still gonna be a really good hero. So in some way, shape, or form, I feel like Togeda is going to be able to get his quirk back somehow or some way though. But for the meantime, he doesn't have his quirk, and he's quirkless for this time period though. So he's, you know, he's still going to be in the hospital, still recovering or whatever though, and he might have to, you know, take fewer courses, or just go on like a pause from attending UA or whatever though, until he manages to get his quirk pack, because he can't really do too much without it or whatever though, but he's gonna do his best in order to try to reobtain his quirk though. And we then get to see Izuku and Kirishima walking out of the hospital, but the moment that they walk out, the police come up to them and say, hey, I know y'all just got discharged though, but can y'all please come with us, because we wanted to get some reports on basically the whole entire raid that happened, that we saw throughout all those other previous episodes though. So that basically just delays them returning back to the UA dorms though. But once they do return back at the dorms, Ochako, Tsu, Kirishima, and Izuku are all greeted by their classmates, and they're all jumping on them and it's like, oh man, we really miss you, man, we were really worried about you, are y'all okay? Goodness, we saw the news reports and stuff, we were worried sick to death about all y'all. And a lot of them were jumping on them, hugging them or whatever though. And we also get to see Ida back in action, kind of running in front of everybody and saying, you know what, hey, y'all gotta pause on this, they might have been a lot physically and mentally. And he started kind of reflecting back on the stuff that Izuku was kind of going through during that one lunchtime scene. Nice little bit of reflection moment for him though, but he was emphasizing the fact of the matter that they might have been through a lot, so we got to be considerate about the way how we approach them, and we still got to feel a little bit sentimental, because we can't 100% fully relate to the level of degree of all the crap and stuff that they've been through within these past episodes though. And you know what, Izuku said, you know what, thanks for that, Ida, but really though, I think we're gonna be all right. We're gonna find a way to manage to kind of push through this or whatever though. And we also get to see Bakugo as well as Todoroki, and it was nice to be able to kind of see them up again though. But with both of them, for some oddball reason, they wanted to go to bed early, and some of the other students were looking around like, oh man. I was like, you know what, it might have been typical for Bakugo, because he might not be a party person or whatever though, but for Todoroki to say he wanted to go to bed though, but there was probably a reason why they wanted to go to bed a little bit early though, because they were some of the couple of few students that didn't actually manage to get their provisional licensing exam passed. So they had those training courses for tomorrow. So maybe they wanted to, rest up on that or whatever though. So they went off the bed though. And then we get to see Izuku kind of laying down in the bed. And he was just reflecting on all the previous things that had happened over the course of the previous several days. And as I was sitting there just watching over those scenes during this one part of the episode and just reflecting back on all the crazy battles that Izuku had to fight in, and not just him, but our other members such as Kirishima with Fat Gum, and the major sacrifices that Lockjaw had to make, and all of our different various heroes that were fighting in there, Ochako and Tsu and everybody else. It was just crazy to just think about all the many things that they basically had to kind of go throughout this whole entire match. And you know what, man, it was just a lot to bear. And then of course at the very end we lost Sir Night-Eye due to him being a true hero through and through though. And I got to say, I'm like, with that, I'm like, man, this arc was a lot. It was exciting though, but it was bittersweet by the time we got to the very end though. But that was pretty much it, and he was just reflecting on all those different things that happened while laying in bed late at night, because it was hard for him to go to sleep. And then fast forward into the morning time, we get to see Present Mic and All Might, and they were going to actually take them instead of Mr. Aizawa to their provisional licensing training course exams. However, we also managed to get an update on the capture mission that Gran Torino actually participated in, that we got to see at the very beginning of the episode. And goodness, so originally we got to see that dude, that Megaton Giant, like slam his hand down, and it sent like a huge ripple effect through all the trees though. However, man, that destruction was insane, because he blew up like half of the mountainside like that. I was like, what the heck? And I was like, how in the world did Gran Torino manage to get out of there though? But he still, despite all of that, was still able to manage to capture Kurogiri, even though they weren't able to apprehend that Megaton Giant like that though, which was kind of understandable if he was able to do some mass destruction like that though. And then he was talking to All Might and was explaining how, you know what, hey, we're gonna have to be really careful though, because the League of Villains and the stuff that All for One was associating himself with, hey man, we really got to be careful about the way how we approach them though, because you never know what to expect from them at this moment though. And then we also get to see Endeavor actually make a reappearance while they were actually at the training school or whatever though. And it was interesting because, you know, Endeavor actually wanted to have a few words with All Might, and we can probably kind of predict about, you know, what he's about to talk about, since, you know, he was the previous #1 hero, and now Endeavor has that though. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting kind of talk to see those two go at it again though. But we also got to see a quick little scene of the reason why Endeavor was actually there, because he actually called Todoroki earlier the previous night and said, hey, I'm going to show up at your provisional licensing exam and I'm going to actually watch and see how you do or whatever though. So that was the whole reason why Endeavor was there, and Todoroki was really wishing that All Might and Endeavor didn't manage to run into each other though, but it's a little too late for that though. And then we also get to see Inasa, Kami, and Seiji, who were actually from a different school that actually participated in the licensing exam within season 3, within that, you know, the second half of the season 3 though. So it was kind of interesting to kind of see those three kind of pop their heads up again though. But it's, you know, it's some of those previous students that were participating in the licensing exam the first time, but obviously were some of the ones that didn't manage to pass it. So now they're trying to, you know, retake the exam in order for them to get their licensings and whatnot though. But that is pretty much it in terms of what all basically happened within this episode though. I honestly was not expecting this much stuff to kind of happen for a bridge episode like this though. Just kind of transition us from the stuff that happened within the previous episode and for what's about to happen within this next arc, which should be a little bit more light-hearted compared to the dark stuff that happened within the first arc though. But overall, I really like this episode from start to finish though, and I'm really looking forward to what this next Cour is all about in terms of this sort of kind of festival that the UA students are going to be participating in though. So I'm really looking forward to it though. But let me know down in the comment section down below, what all did you think about this episode as a whole, and did you really like this from start to finish, or were there any kind of nitpicky things that you may have not liked about the episode though? Or man, what do y'all think about that Megaton Giant? Because I'm like, what the heck? If All For One was able to get this dude on their side, I'm like, how in the heck you managed to beat something like that? Because that dude didn't look like he had any weaknesses though, and it looked like if you were gonna punch this dude, like he wasn't gonna do nothing though. But yeah, while we might be in the sort of kind of laid back, kind of chill art though, the League of Villains are still up to no good, and they're still gonna put their plans into motion whether we like it or not. So hopefully our heroes can manage to stand up to the task. But that is all that I have for y'all for this week's episode review over My Hero Academia. So if you really like this video, go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to keep up to date on all things My Hero Academia. With the provisional hero licensing training underway, Bakugo and Todoroki are under the mercy of Gang Orca. And will they manage to succeed in the task at hand for this part of their training? And will All Might manage to teach Endeavor what it truly means to be a #1 hero? We'll have to find out about this and more in next week's episode review called Win Those Kids' Hearts. So remember y'all, until whatever video I make next, go beyond. Plus Ultra!